In the Mercer family, grateful is a word that means a lot of things.
Is there Dead and Company?
Little Eli Mercer is a huge Grateful Dead fan, and tonight he gets to listen to a concert with one of his best friends.
Since the Dead show is going to play tonight.
All right, we had some audio issues with that when I started it. Take two. My hair keeps messing up today, everybody. Let's restart that from the beginning.
In the Mercer family, grateful is a word that means a lot of things.
Is there Dead and Company?
Little Eli Mercer is a huge Grateful Dead fan, and tonight he gets to listen to a concert with one of his best friends.
Since the Dead show is going to play tonight, at least Hunter was here to watch it.
While the Mercer family loves the Dead's music, there's a different kind of song the whole family is even happier to hear.
He's so happy purring, huh? She's my good kitty.
That's because earlier this week, the Mercer family didn't know if Hunter would even be alive.
This was not an accident, and my little Hunter had actually been hunted.
Somebody shot the Mercer's 1-year-old cat, Hunter, with an arrow. The family says the cat went missing Saturday. They found it like this, days later, bleeding, and raced to the vet.
Very disturbing. It's very concerning. Naturally, people feel fearful for their pet safety as well as their own well-being when something like this is reported.
Cindy Brooks works with the Lake Stevens Police Department. She's trying to find the person that shot an arrow through a family's cat and then left it to limp away.
As a pet owner and a pet lover, I'm pretty horrified.
Oh, I feel so tired. He made it home. He came home to get help, and
On the 2 front legs.
After a long week, Tina Mercer finally has her family back together. And there's one word to describe the feeling.
Grateful we are.
Reporting in Snohomish County, AJ Janovel for Q13 News.
Aww, the cat's name is Hunter. It's black and white, pretty cute. All right, the good news is that he's home. He's expected to be okay, but hopefully they find whoever did that to him. Okay, I was a Girl Scout growing up, and that's what caught my attention for this next story. New York City troop made up completely of homeless young girls, and they're helping fight homelessness. Let's watch.
On a hot July afternoon, representatives of Girl Scout Troop 6000 lined up in front of City Hall, proudly wearing their vests adorned with patches they've earned to make a special announcement.
Thanks to Mayor de Blasio, Troop 6000 has expanded from 1 shelter to 15 shelters across the borough.
And this is a big deal for Christina and her sister, Karina, because Troop 6000 is for girls who are currently homeless and living in the city's shelter system, something they know very well.
Me and my 3-year-old sister and brother were living in the shelter. Even though there were a lot of kids at the shelter, it felt lonely.
And that's when their mother, Giselle Burgess, came up with the idea to create Troop 6000. In 2016, her family lost their home and arrived in a city shelter. She realized something was missing for her 4 daughters, and Troop 6000 was born. It's grown to 500 members and expanding to 15 locations throughout the city.
We are sisters. We motivate each other, advocate for each other, and put a smile on each other's faces. Girl Scouting not only builds you to have courage, confidence, and character, it also teaches you how to be a leader, how to be a sister to every Girl Scout, how to stand up for others in need, and how to be selfless.
Lessons learned by being a Girl Scout, something Karina is certainly embracing.
Wow, I learned a lot in Girl Scouts growing up. Actually, I really enjoyed it. It was a great experience. I was in it for several years. All right, this next story, talked about at the end of Fox 10 Extra with Mike. It's about a small town in North Carolina using a robot to combat the opioid crisis.
A small North Carolina town is the first in the country to test what you flush down the toilet using this device to combat the opioid crisis.
If we have a problem, 70% increase in overdoses last year, then the problem is very significant in this country, and we feel we can play a leadership role in helping deal with that.
The town of Cary is partnering with the Massachusetts-based company BioBot Analytics. Their device tests for digested opioids.
As somebody processes opioids through their body and through their liver, they excrete a different type of opioid from their body into the sewer system.
The automated water sampler is lowered a few feet into a manhole, and a tube is suspended from the bottom of the case into the putrid water.
The device collects a small amount of wastewater and processes the wastewater through membranes over the course of 24 hours, and the membranes are then sent to the laboratory to perform analysis for the opioids that were collected.
Waste from at least 15,000 residents flows through each manhole. Places like hospitals may have a higher concentration of opioids in the sewage water, so scientists are strategic in where they place the 10 devices.
We're protecting people's privacy by not having it be associated with any household or any particular street, but we are having it correlated with particular regions.
Doctors say it provides a great baseline of data, but analyzing the results isn't easy.
An individual or a community's age, ethnicity, sex, all these things determine how fast we break down opioids, and then further determines how much of the byproducts we measure in the urine.
City management expects the first data phase to be completed by September. The company's co-founder says the data generated enables us to understand consumption trends and track efficacy of various health intervention and programs. BioBot scientists also say they feel this technology will become a new standard to assess the opioid epidemic across America.
In North Carolina, Therese Garnier, Fox News.
All right, Therese, thanks so much. She's a good North Carolina reporter, I think. I actually get a lot of her stories to play here on News Now, so as someone who's been out there and been a reporter, I appreciate it. All right, so this next story. I asked if any of you went to a Build-A-Bear yesterday. I think it was like the Pay Your Age promotion, and it kind of didn't go as planned, is the best way to say it. I don't think anybody said they actually were at a Build-A-Bear, but I know in this Fox Business Briefs that I have for you, they at least mention what happened.
Build-A-Bear Workshop's Pay Your Age promotion was so popular it turned into pandemonium with long lines at local malls across the country.
So you pay the age of the kid. So instead of a $30 dinosaur, we got a $4 and a $2 dinosaur.
Build-A-Bear eventually had to shut its doors to disappointed shoppers. But for anyone who wasn't able to get a furry friend, the retailer is offering a $15 voucher. Alaska's final 2 Blockbuster video stores will rent out their last movies and close up shop, leaving the U.S. with a single remaining location. The 2 closures in Anchorage and Fairbanks will leave the Blockbuster in Bend, Oregon as the last store standing. That location has no plans of closing anytime soon, according to the store general manager. And sales of personal computers, or PCs, rose in the second quarter for the first time since 2012. One market research firm estimates the industry shipped around 62 million PCs in the past 3 months. That's business. For more, log on to foxbusiness.com. In New York, I'm Tracy Carrasco.
Wow, I'm surprised that there's any Blockbusters left at all, actually. But I grew up in the Blockbuster age where that was the thing to do on weekends. You just showed up and looked around the whole store, and it was kind of like picking out a book. Like you looked at the movie covers and you're like, I want that one. You know what I mean? And you always looked at the different sections, like romance and comedy and drama and action and Blockbuster days, right? Okay, this next story is about the U.S. Army announcing its biggest organizational changes in 45 years. Fox News correspondent Lucas Tomlinson has more from the Pentagon.
It's the biggest reorganization of the U.S. Army in half a century. The Pentagon unveiling details about the new Futures Command, established to create a modern-day Manhattan Project, an organization that can adapt quickly to technology, an area where the U.S. military has fallen behind.
Our vision describes the Army of 2028, one that is ready to deploy, fight, and win decisively against any adversary, anytime, anywhere.
Futures Command will be based in Austin, hoping to attract top talent from American universities and think tanks. One of the goals, diving into the world of electromagnetic warfare, which could theoretically shut down the power in any major city, and also beef up the military's use of robots and artificial intelligence.
This is one to try to change the culture of an entire service in how we approach acquisition, procurement, material, concept development, and all of that.
The reorganization is part of the Trump administration's effort to modernize the military and prepare for future wars, including President Trump's call for the establishment of a Space Force. But it's also aimed at addressing concerns about the billions the Army has spent over the last 20 years on programs it later canceled.
The Army needs to be able to develop ideas, design, test, and then procure and fill it a lot more quickly than we have in the past, and a lot better cost.
Futures Command will have a staff of about 500 and is expected to be on par with other major Army commands, led by a 4-star general. At the Pentagon, Lucas Tomlinson, Fox News.
All right, who remembers what we streamed for 11 hours here yesterday on News Now, part of Fox10Phoenix.com. FBI interrogations, someone in the hot seat in Congress. Well, Doug Luzader is here to get us all caught up with exactly what happened.
A former FBI attorney, Lisa Page, is scheduled to be questioned today, but that hearing will be behind closed doors. This one was in full public view, and boy, it got heated.
The witness will answer the question.
Not a dull moment. FBI agent Peter Strzok was under the gun from the start. He began by saying that his anti-Trump political views did not affect his work, even on the Hillary Clinton email probe.
It is not who I am, and it is not something I would ever do.
But this keeps coming back to those text messages with then FBI attorney Lisa Page, including this exchange in particular. Trump's not ever going to become president, right? Right? No, he won't. We'll stop it.
Mr. Gowdy, as I've stated, that text was written late at night in shorthand.
I don't care when it was written. I don't care whether it was longhand, cursive. I don't care about any of that. I want to know what it meant, Agent Strzok.
And the relationship between Strzok and Page even became part of a line of questioning.
I can't help but wonder when I see you looking there with a little smirk, how many times did you look so innocent into your wife's eye and lie to her about Lisa?
Mr. Chairman. But this goes beyond the Clinton email investigation because Strzok was also a player in the Mueller-Russia probe before he was removed from that team after the text messages surfaced. The partisan divide in this joint hearing was evident, with Democrats coming to Strzok's defense, one even saying he deserved a Purple Heart.
I have never seen my colleagues so out of control, so angry, and so desperate to protect a president that we all know is not fit to be president.
Now, Strzok declined to answer a number of questions about the Russia probe, but he suggested that the fact that he didn't leak any information about it shows that his political views did not impact his decisions as an agent. In Washington, Doug Luzader, Fox News.
All right, Doug, thanks for getting us all up to date there. Well, this next story is about breast cancer research. Let's watch.
$12.7 million. That's how much game studio Blizzard raised in its collaboration with the Breast Cancer Research Fund. The fundraiser taking place mainly in the game Overwatch. Blizzard selling a t-shirt and a digital skin highlighting the game's healer, Mercy. The Breast Cancer Research Fund saying it was the largest contribution by a corporate partner in its 25-year history. And speaking of collaborations, Greg Johnson, creator of the classic game Toe Jam and Earl, reaching out on Twitter to suggest his hip-hop aliens join one of the biggest fighting games on the planet. Tweeting, quote, Toe Jam and Earl in Smash Brothers? Good idea. Hey, Nintendo. Referring to Nintendo's hit game Super Smash Ultimate. It wouldn't be the first time third-party characters join the Nintendoverse. Sega's Sonic the Hedgehog and Capcom's Mega Man are among many of the crossovers. And that's your insider's cheat code to gaming. In New York, Eamon Dignam, Fox News.
Wow. I had no idea. I mean, I haven't played video games since I was a kid. Do any of you who play, participate in fundraising? If so, what causes do you support? That story kind of caught me off guard there. All right, so this next story. I believe Christina Carilla updated everybody on Fox 10 last night about this. It's a story we've been following here for a while now on News Now. It's in regards to the Golden State Killer. Well, he was in court.
Victims of the East Area Rapist have waited more than 40 years for this day.
What are you feeling right now?
Anxious, angry. Media clogged the hallway just outside the courtroom where East Area Rapist suspect Joseph D'Angelo made another court appearance. The defense filed a motion to bar media from covering today's court proceedings, but the judge overruled that request, saying he believes the public does have the right to know and that D'Angelo won't be prejudiced by the proceedings. The DA is in the process of providing discovery to defense and requested proceedings to be continued to September 5th.
Yeah, I didn't get to see him full-faced.
You leaned over, I saw that.
I did. I wanted to see his face, but I saw him by the side.
Yes, we can.
It's just so surreal. I'm just so blessed that he's behind bars.
Debbie Domingo's mother and her mom's boyfriend were killed by the East Area Rapist. She says she's always believed he would be brought to justice one day for taking her mother away.
Oh, I always think of my mom. I've got my mom and Greg on my T-shirt. I don't know if y'all want to get a shot of that, but they're always with me. You know, they're always with me.
Your heart must have been beating fast when they opened that door.
You know, not so much. I trust that God has His perfect timing going, and this is exactly the way it's supposed to be.
Margaret Wardlow is the East Area Rapist's youngest victim, just 13 at the time. Seeing him for the first time after 41 years wasn't easy for her.
It's just intense. I don't know how else to explain it. I really thought it was really tough and strong, but it's kind of scary. But everybody has to survive after that, and it's so difficult.
Thank you.
Survival. I'll say it again because I cut the story off a little bit there. Survival. That's a story we'll probably continue to follow here. Okay, this next story. Anybody live in New York, Long Island? If you ate clams or oysters at a restaurant in the town of Hempstead recently, you were actually helping a new barrier reef project. Anybody out there like seafood? I love seafood, all seafood, right here. The town has been collecting thousands of shells from about a dozen restaurants throughout the past few years, and the first round of shells were dumped into an area of Middle Bay. Now, Fox's Jody Goldberg has the story.
1, 2, 3.
One-by-one bags filled with dozens of discarded clam and oyster shells donated from local restaurants were dropped into Hempstead Bay. It's the start of another reef building project in the town of Hempstead.
Research shows that poor water quality, particularly from nitrogen pollution, has reached a near crisis.
But it's a crisis that can be averted by boosting the dwindling oyster population. The goal is to ultimately restore a nearby salt marsh that serves as a natural defense against coastal storm surges.
When complete, these living reefs will add up to over a half a mile when combined with pre-existing town reef projects.
Live oysters grown inside the town's hatchery will be added to the bags of shells. Once submerged in the water, they essentially become the building blocks for the living shoreline. A fully mature oyster can filter 50 gallons of water a day.
Unlike clams, oysters cement themselves as part of their life cycle, so they need to attach themselves to a hard substrate such as a rock or a shell. Most of that habitat has been removed from our bay by years and years of dredging and development projects, so we're replacing a lot of the oyster habitat that was removed over time.
A total of 5,000 bags will be used for the project. The base of the reef is expected to be finished by the fall. Now the reef should be fully functional by this time next year. In Lido Beach, Long Island, Jody Goldberg, Fox 5 News.
All right, Jody, thanks so much for that. I think the word there is sustainability. Well, remember, I like to bring you all animal-related stories that I can here on News Now. I unfortunately think this one has some sad twists to it. Turns out some geese are being euthanized due to an E. coli outbreak.
For the thousands that call Lake Wildwood in Nevada County home, it's the peace and the scenery that drew them here. However, some say things have unnecessarily turned violent here recently, and they're not too happy about it. About 15 people, some who live at Lake Wildwood and some who do not, held signs in protest Thursday night. As posted signs in the community show, E. coli has become an issue in or near the lake here. But what these people are mad about is who's getting the blame for the bacteria.
It is very difficult for them to find the source of the E. coli, and it's not from the geese that they know of. So the reasons that they're killing the geese aren't justified.
Through a federal permit, HOA officials have begun euthanizing some geese, believing the birds and their poop may be the cause. However, those who demonstrated outside the community's main gate aren't sold that is the cause, believing sewage issues are to blame. Either way, they don't want the geese to die.
Nobody has addressed the sewage problem. We have thousands and tens of thousands of sewage leaks that have occurred at least in the 2 years that I have lived here. It's unacceptable. It's unsafe.
We left a message with the community's general manager but didn't hear back. In an article by the Union News outlet, the GM said the permit allowed them to eliminate 75 geese. Resident Janet Herron says some neighbors of hers are unaware these geese are being killed.
When I have spoken to people, they've been outraged and said, no, they can't do that. And I said, they're already doing it. They did not know. Now that's their fault for not being informed.
In Nevada County, Eric Rucker, Fox 40 News.